What's up, guys? Today I just wanted to make a quick guide to show you how to get started with the farming skill in old school RuneScape. I just got started recently and I always put it off because I thought it seemed confusing, but it's really not that bad. A lot of the guides that I had watched on YouTube were really confusing and it made it seem harder than it was. So let's just get right into it. What you're going to need is a rake, a spade, a seed dibber, some secateurs, a full watering can, mine is 7, so that'll do, some compost, and your seeds. The first thing that you can plant is potatoes, so buy some potato seeds. Don't ask me why I have so many. And at level 2 you can plant marigolds, so you might want to get some of those as well. You're also going to want a Faldor teleport, a Camelot teleport to get to these locations, which I'm going to show you. You might want to bring a stamina potion just because you're going to be running around a little bit. I am in the Camelot location right now. It's actually north of Catherby, but I teleport to Camelot and just run east to this little farm here. It's right above Catherby. Takes just a second to get to from Camelot, and you're going to pass some fountains on the way there, so you can fill up your watering cans at those fountains. And the first thing that you'll notice when you get to the farm is there are weeds growing, so you're just going to click on the patches and rake up the weeds. That's the first thing that you'll need to do. And when you rake these up, don't just drop the weeds on the ground. There is a compost bin over here. What you're going to do is use the weeds on the bin and eventually this bin will fill up. Once it's completely full to the top, it'll give you the option to close the lid, and you just wait a little bit of time and the compost will rot. And then you can just fill up your own buckets with compost and you won't have to buy it anymore. So this isn't completely full yet, but once it is, I'll close that. As you can see, there's 4 patches here. These big ones, which they just call the allotments, that's where you're going to plant your potatoes. So you use a compost on the allotment. Use your potato seeds. And then water the seeds. Now, I believe potatoes take about 15 minutes to grow. Each plant has a different growing time, so you'll just have to look that up and see how long it is for each specific one. But again, once the weeds are gone, you use your compost, use your seeds, and water them. And that's all there is to it for those. This little patch in the middle says it's a flower patch, so I put my marigolds in there after the compost. And water them. Over here you can see my herb patch. This one had died, so I'll just have to clear that out. Again, use my compost. Plant my herb seeds, which right now I have pteromin. And for some reason you actually don't have to water the herbs, so at least this specific one that I'm growing right now, when I try to water it, it'll tell me it does not need watering, so just look out for that. At each farming location you'll find a tool leprechaun. If you trade him, he will hold your items for you. So you only have to bring these one time, and then from then on he will hold them for you. This makes it a lot easier. just because you're not having to carry these every time and having to take them out of your bank. So now all I have to do is wait for these plants to grow. I'm going to put these weeds in there, and it's still not completely full, but I'm going to go to the other location now. So I'm going to teleport to Falador. And once you're in Falador, you're going to want to run east and then south out of the city. Once you exit the city, you're going to run east and you're pretty much at the farm already. Gonna run past some cows. And the patches are right here. As you can see, I have grown some cabbages. These ones over here died. My marigolds died. But my herbs are still there. And I know it looks like this guy's picking mine, but obviously it's different for everybody. He's picking his. Just clarifying that if anybody was confused. But so again, I'm gonna get my tools from the leprechaun, get out some compost. I also have some super compost, which will work a little bit better. So I'll try one of those out and then just get some normal compost. Gonna go ahead and pick my cabbages, and then I'll show you something else neat that this leprechaun can do. If you use the cabbage on the leprechaun, okay, never mind. I thought he would turn it into a note, but it must be only certain items. Sometimes he will note your items for you. Let me check with the herbs. Maybe it's just that. Okay, so I picked my herbs, and I'm going to use it on him. And see, he turned it into a banknote. So I guess the cabbage just is like, he's just like, fuck your cabbage, I don't want to do that. I don't know. As you can see, this compost bin has already been closed, so I'm going to open it, and the compost is ready to go. So all I have to do is use my buckets, which the leprechaun can also hold, and fill it up from there. But let's just go ahead and empty out some of these. Use my compost, plant my potatoes, and water them. And now I have an empty bucket, so I'll just use it on the compost bin. And I have a fresh compost to use. At each farming location, there's also a farmer, like this guy here, Alstan. You can pay him to watch after your crops. And it's not just paying him with gold. It's actually, for each crop, there is a different item that you use for payment. So if you go into the guide, for example, if you're growing potatoes and you want him to watch after them, to make sure that they grow and don't die, you'll have to pay him 2 buckets of compost. If you're growing onions and you want him to watch after them, you have to pay him 10 potatoes or a sack of potatoes. So it goes up from there. You can do that if you like. I don't really bother with it normally, but it will give you a little better chance of success in growing your crops. And that's really all there is to it, guys. It's pretty simple. I'm gonna go ahead and fill my buckets up with this compost, and that also gives you XP, which is nice. And again, trade the leprechaun, and he holds all my stuff for me. And then just have to come back here in about 15 minutes for the potatoes. The herbs take a little bit longer. I think the marigolds are probably about 15 minutes as well. This compost still has some in there for next time when I return, so that's good. And that's all you really need to do to get started. You can also eventually plant trees. At level 15, you can plant oak trees. There's a location by the Verac Castle and one behind the Lumbridge Castle. Hops. There's a location just across from the cow farm and outside of Lumbridge. But for now, just try out the potatoes, the marigolds. See how it goes. You'll get some XP very quickly just doing this. And I might make a guide for more advanced farming in the future, but this is just to get you started. Very simple. Try it out, guys. It's not hard. You'll be glad you did it because I put this skill off for so long. I hope this guide helped you. If it did, please leave a like and subscribe. I'm always putting out new content. Let me know if you have any ideas for future videos, and I'll see you in the next one.